I'm here in beautiful downtown Fort Worth. Love this city. Now, if you're a baby boomer, most likely you've been saving in 401ks and IRAs on a tax-deferred basis for decades. I mean, the logic was simple. You don't pay tax on the money that goes in. You have more money working for you. And then when you retire, you're going to be in a lower tax bracket. That may be a problem, because if you're in your mid-50s and you're close to retirement, you may be a little lopsided. I'm going to explain why in this video. So I have a client who is in his mid-70s now. He and his wife are they're rocking retirement. They're doing really well. But they have one issue. Almost tripped there. They have virtually all of their liquid assets, those assets outside of their home and possessions, in tax-deferred accounts in one huge IRA. Now, it made sense for years for them because he was a doctor, a surgeon, and he had substantial income, so the tax savings were nice, and he had, added creditor protection from having assets in an IRA. But now they find themselves with required minimum distributions that well exceed what they actually need to live on. There's really nothing they can do because the government's going to require them to take out a certain amount every year until he passes. This is a situation that I see a lot of baby boomers get themselves into. It can put us into a bad position when we get to that distribution phase, because we're going to have a lot less flexibility. So we're going to talk about how do you get more balance in your net worth statement. What a gorgeous city. One diversification issue that we don't pay much attention to is our balance sheet. How much we have in pre-tax dollars, money that's invested that you've already paid taxes on. Pre-tax dollars, those monies that you haven't paid tax on, that's going to be your IRAs and your 401ks, and then those tax-free assets, which are going to be your Roth IRAs and Roth 401ks. This kind of diversification can make a huge difference when you're making retirement decisions in controlling your taxes and how you take money out when you're actually retired. Hey, we're inside, nice and cool. One big problem of having so much money in tax-deferred accounts is that if you're going to take money out of those accounts when you're retired to supplement other income sources, that's going to be part of your taxable income, which can affect a lot of the benefits that you get. And the first one is Social Security. So let's assume that you take Social Security at age 62 or prior to full retirement. Well, if you have earned income above roughly $17,000, you're going to see your Social Security benefits reduced, usually $1 for every $2 over that $17,040 amount, until you reach full retirement. So you may actually be hurting yourself by taking Social Security early and having earned income, whether it's through work or through withdrawing from 401ks or IRAs. That money that gets reduced from your Social Security benefit, you ultimately get most of that back, but it doesn't come until full retirement, and they pay you back in dribs or drabs that takes about 15 years to get whole or close to whole. All right, I got a meeting with a client, so I'll be back here in a moment. All right, just had a great meeting with another cool guy, Mike. I get to talk to such cool people. Time for lunch. How you doing?
Sir, how are you?
Awesome.
Good to see you.
You know, there's something really comforting about coming to a place where people greet you at the door. When you sit down, they know exactly what you want to drink and what you eat. There really is just something comforting about that for me. Now, another reason you want to diversify your balance sheet and not have all your money tied up in after-tax or pre-tax assets is the fact that not only will it affect Social Security potentially if you're drawing money out to supplement your lifestyle, but it also can impact your Medicare premiums, because they're going to look at what your reportable income is to determine what your premiums are going to be for Medicare in a lot of the parts. Now, the amount is high. I don't have the numbers right here in front of me, but I think for an individual, it's like anything over $85,000, they start to tweak your Medicare premiums, and it's a lot more if you're married. So it's not a huge impact potentially, but it can be pretty important, and it definitely supports the case of diversifying your balance sheet, which we'll talk about some tips on how you can do that. Now, I want to eat my salad. So a real practical way that can come back and bite you that I just saw the other day actually was a couple was getting ready to retire, and they were looking at buying a new home, their retirement home, and they were going to be spending a good amount of money, and the only place they really had assets to access was their 401k upon retirement. Well, in order to buy the house, assuming they wanted to pay cash for it, they were going to have to take in excess of $200,000 out of a tax-deferred account to pay for this property. Well, hey, all of that's taxable income, right? Huge tax bill in 1 year. Now they're having to strategize of how they can more efficiently take out money, not to run themselves up the tax code or the tax bracket so fast. So that's a perfect example of why you need to diversify your balance sheet. And we're going to talk to you about how, once I get back to the office. Man, that was a good lunch. So here are some ideas to help you think a little bit more strategically about your balance sheet. So if you think of your balance sheet and you look at your assets, you're going to have what? You're going to have post-tax assets, money you've already paid taxes on, pre-tax assets, the IRAs, 401ks, and your Roth assets. So the earlier the better, in my opinion, is start to look at your balance sheet and find more balance to make sure you have liquid money in each of those buckets. So some ways that you can do that are, one, as you get closer to retirement, slow down your pre-tax savings, maybe in your 401k. Maybe you contribute to your 401k up to the match, and then that way you can get the match, and then to start saving either in the Roth 401k option or in a Roth IRA and doing a backdoor if your income is too high, or maybe start saving in your after-tax assets, even though you're going to take the bite financially from a tax perspective. Now, me personally, I slowed down my tax-deferred savings a few years ago because I was noticing, man, all of my liquid assets are getting into my tax-deferred assets because I want to be in a position when I'm going to touch those assets that I can, year by year, determine, draw from my 401k or my after-tax assets or my Roth assets, so I can manage my tax rate, and it will at least give me more options. So as soon as you can, I would start thinking more strategically about that. One thing you can also do is thinking about doing Roth conversions in a systematic way. Now, we dove into that, I think, a week or two ago on this show. We looked at Roth conversions. I do like the idea of consistently doing conversions from taxable accounts to tax-free accounts in a reasoned way so you can build up assets in both of those buckets. If you can start to be more strategic about this and not just think about deferring taxes, but building a balance sheet that's going to give you a lot of flexibility when you're actually retired, you're going to find yourself with a lot more options and a lot more opportunities for planning prudently when you're no longer working. I've seen it time and time again, so I encourage you to do that.